So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Eazy Conversations. Thanks a lot to everyone who listened to the last episode featuring the homie Matt and I. Hope you enjoyed listening to us share our top movies of the quarter century leading up to 2024. And yeah, you had a chance to maybe run back some of those classics from the 2000s and 2010s and maybe dove into some unknown 2020 films. Who knows? It's now for episode 174 of these conversations, the first of 2026. I'm extremely excited, of course, to be back in the studio virtually with the homie Matt. So what's up to the people?
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great time right now. I'm very excited, Eric. It's the first episode of 2026. I hope everyone had a great new year. What a way to start the new year with this episode we're doing today, Eric. It's with something that's been in our lives, in everyone's life for the past decade. And without further ado, why don't you let everyone know what we're going to be dissecting today?
Absolutely. So I know I didn't even think of that it will be 10 years exactly now from the start of the Netflix smash hit Stranger Things, which has just come to a close on December 31st, 2025, with its grandiose finale. What a ride it's been for 5 seasons to come out in the span of 9 years, right, from 2016 to 2025, is something that has been highly controversial. Um, Mostly receiving hates for the fact that the seasons took this much time to drop. But honestly, for me, I've enjoyed the entire ride. It's been fun to have this show, to anticipate it, kind of like an avatar, if you will, and know that whenever it drops, it's going to be a spectacle that is absolutely worth checking out. And as much as people do say, like, oh, like the show is taking forever to drop, they tune in on day one, as we all do. So yeah, season 5, we're gonna get into it. Do a little rundown also on the past seasons, but we have actually covered seasons 1 through 4 in I believe episode 87's The Stranger Things Spectacle, which dropped in 2022, 4 years ago. So if you want to check that out, if you've missed it, go back. But yeah, for this one, full spoilers on season 5 of Stranger Things. We're gonna get into it, breaking it down volume by volume. So they released their episodes in 3 different volumes. The first one being on American Thanksgiving, the second one on Christmas, and then the finale, New Year's Eve. So we're going to start off with volume 1. Let's go back. Matt, opening thoughts on volume 1 of Stranger Things season 5.
Well, first of all, Eric, I was anticipating this season for a while now, since 2022. I think everyone was, and I didn't mind that they took their time with the seasons because quality over quantity, in my opinion. Not just pumping out a generic thing every year. Plus, also scheduling with all the actors in it was probably difficult, well, with some of them at least. Opening thoughts on Volume 1. I really loved Volume 1. I thought it was a great 4 episodes that ripped by. Even down to like the titles of the 4 episodes, the 4 chapters were kind of cool. And I was never bored for a second in terms of like the running times were a little longer on these episodes, some of them over an hour, but I was never bored once watching Volume 1. I love that our characters start off like all separated, and then eventually some of them meet up with each other, and more of the like. I like that following the different storylines in the first volume, especially like you could tell after when episode 1 started that a passage of time had gone by and they were getting into their little routine with doing crawls in the upside down, and that was really cool. Do you like the ensemble cast of Stranger Things? Like it grew every season, and I grew to love all these characters, and seeing them doing their own little thing was kind of like, it was like going back to something familiar and heartwarming for me to like see the beloved characters again on screen. And how much older they get, Eric. Like, that's always jarring, right? Like, you want to talk about that? Like, so many seasons that far apart, our characters look significantly different every season. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Volume 1, Eric, before I keep rambling?
No, it's all good. So there's so much to get into. It's hard to really stay focused on one train of thought with this season, everything that happened. But in terms of the actors aging, really didn't bother me. Like, yeah, you definitely notice that they look significantly older, but it never took me out of the show, which is good. And they could still pass as, I believe they'd be in like grade 11 here, so juniors in high school. So I mean, there are some kids that do just look older, and especially when you look at movies shot back in the 80s and stuff,
Mhm.
they had like 29-year-olds playing 17-year-olds anyway. So it's not,
True.
it's, if anything, it's fitting that they looked older, right? So that it wasn't a problem for me. Ensemble cast growing, and I think for the most part I enjoyed how each season there were new characters and they were welcomed additions to the
Mhm.
cast. I'll just say on I've seen the show a few times now. Rewatch, I wasn't a big Erica fan, but after rewatching the show, massive fan. Would have liked to have more of her honestly in this last season because she's the mix of super smart, very witty, and just calls people out on their bullshit, which is very fitting in this show as well. So she was great. But yeah, characters like Robin, who you
Mhm.
mentioned rambling at the start here, like she's one who doesn't mince words and can be known to go on and run on sentences for a long time. So she was really good. I liked how she kind of narrated the season at the start and end, of course, with the
Yeah.
new gig at the Squawk as Rockin' Robin. That was good. Yeah,
Mhm.
just seeing how like I'm glad you mentioned the crawls too, like how they were able to. Well, 11 is training diligently for these missions in the Upside Down, doing recon, looking for Henry. It set the stage for what's to come. The military has taken over Hawkins. They're trying
Mhm.
to cover up this hole that opened up in Hawkins, and they kind of just brushed past it. I was surprised that life just went on and people were still going to school. I didn't really know that they were going to go down that route heading into season 5. What did you think
Mhm.
of that? That it was more like, nope, we're covering this up, hush hush, business as usual. Were you surprised as well, or what did you think about that and how like the military took over the town?
I was a little surprised by the setting, by that happening. But then I thought to myself that I think that would be more realistically what would happen in real life instead of like this apocalyptic, like fated battle versus like basically everything shutting down. And like I thought this is the most realistic approach. Honestly, what would happen in real life, like covering up, and people don't really know what's going on. They just know there's something strange, but life carries on because that's the best way to control the population, right? Like you don't want chaos or anarchy. Um, but going in, I didn't think they'd do that. I thought it would be like I didn't think the scope would be this big in this season. I thought it would be like focusing on a moment and we'd have like an epic um, showdown like right away. But no, like this season we had 8 episodes of like we definitely had like a longer journey than I anticipated for this season, this last season. I didn't know we'd have so much happen, um, which was welcome. Honestly, I liked it. Didn't rush anything in the finale, so I enjoyed that. Yeah, speaking of characters, like I love the Dustin and Steve dynamic a lot, going back and forth, love and hate, but like eventually everything gets put out in the open in the later half of the finale. That I really liked. Steve's definitely one of my favorite characters in the show. I've only seen
Yes.
the. I don't remember rewatching it. I'm only going back on memory here, but really like that character. Mike Nancy's solid. And Mike is when they showed him in season 1 to now, I'm like, oh my god, I don't even recognize him. I really like Jim Hopper, obviously Hopper, and big Murray guy too. Murray's hilarious, kind of comic relief.
Mm-hmm.
Joyce, I like. I honestly, Eric, there's not a lot of characters I dislike. I've really grew to like all these characters. Not a fan of every one of them. We can get into that later, but it's this this whole season it's hard to have this many characters and have everyone their moment in the sun, right? Like have everyone their highlighted moments. Some of them are going to fall by the wayside where they don't really get their dues,
Mm-hmm.
and then some get more than others. That's a strength and a weakness, right? And I think a lot of people that was their complaint with this season was
Mm-hmm.
some of the characters' decisions or their moments. But honestly, I didn't mind. I enjoyed all the choices they made
Okay.
in Volume One, especially, and it was a great setup for the next 4 episodes. The military. What did you think of the military itself? Like the bad guys, like Dr. K. Did
Yeah.
you like her? Like Linda Hamilton, from the '80s. Did you like the military in this season?
Yeah, so it didn't even click that that was Sarah Connor from Terminator. I had seen people saying like, "Oh, Linda Hamilton, iconic." I'm like, I don't. Are you talking about the actress or the character she's playing? Because in my opinion, Dr. K was quite weak. Honestly, like, she was a very generic, evil military leader with a kind of boilerplate end game of like, oh, we're gonna
Mm,
control you and then create more weapons
right.
that are based on your gene. Like, if you could spin that more with me if it was Papa who was still around, because we've been around him for 4 seasons at this point, so it would make
Hmm.
sense to have him be the like the non supernatural evil entity, you know. And even if
Hmm.
anyway, we'll get to what happens with her at the end later. But yeah, so military and even Jack Sullivan from season 4, again generic ass name, generic ass character, very nothing burger of a B villain. The other lieutenant as well, I didn't care for at
Yeah.
all.
Mm,
So overall, the military didn't really do it for me. You kind of needed them around to be another like a nuisance for our main characters. I understand that, but can't really say I was a fan of any of them.
mhm.
And it starts at the top with Kay. She was just meh. Now,
Yeah.
to go back to the ensemble cast, you've listed off pretty much every single character except the probably the biggest one in terms of who had the biggest role in season 5, which is Holly Wheeler. So that is also something that garnered some criticism in that we've spent no time with this character in seasons 1 through 4, and they really gave a massive shift in giving her this much importance, screen time, and yeah, just like relevance to the plot. So it was cool to see her right off the onset. Andy called that she was going to be more important because
Mm.
at their breakfast scene, like when they're having breakfast, the full gang, and then the dad says, "Holly, can you pass the bacon?" She's like, "Oh, she's gonna be important this season." I don't know if
Oh
she
wow.
knew, or if any of us knew to that extent, is how much she would be put like a key piece of the plot. But that was like their way of easing her into it, saying, like, "Hey, just
Okay.
remember Holly Wheeler. You've forgotten about her for these last 4 seasons. Well, she's gonna be in the mix this season." So I think that was a misstep in a way where every second scene we're cutting back to Holly, and I feel like it took away from some time with our main kids who we actually have spent all this time with,
Hmm.
and I wanted more time with them quite often. So, like you mentioned, Dustin and Steve, obviously great, but I feel like most of the time we got with them, they were kind of bickering or not on the same page, and I would have wanted them to have more of the classic Dustin Steve time that maybe if we see them
Mm.
more earlier, they can reconcile earlier, and then we have like the classic banter and brotherly relationship there. And that I feel like applies across the board. Like Mike and Lucas, they were kind of now becoming these like they're almost like Han Solo, Luke Skywalker in the sequel trilogy, where like the kids are looking up to them like,
Mm.
oh my god, it's the legendary Mike Wheeler kind of thing, and they're like the shepherds of good vessels, right? Like, so that's
Yeah.
kind of my thought there, where they took a bit of a backseat in favor of Holly, and then Derek
Yeah.
too, who
Mm.
I was like kind of lukewarm on him, honestly. He was all right, but I feel like he got a bit too much screen time. It's my take there. And then my last new character, who I'm sorry, I just did not give a shit about, is Vicky. Like, we did not need this character in there. Robin's girl, I don't know. She just her getting in the mix, and then when they're in the hospital and Robin's trying to get shit done, and Vicky's
Yeah.
like, "Robin, where have you been? You're lying to me about this. You said you're gonna take me to Enzo's." I'm like, "Yo, shut up, lady. Like, sorry, like we got bigger fish to fry here."
Say she's a drug addict. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sure, maybe some of those were heartwarming moments or kind of fun or very human moments. I get it, but did every single character need their own little thing going on
Mm.
top of the big thing that is trying to beat Vecna? Anyways, mini rant on the new characters over for now, but those are my thoughts. What did you think of like the push for Holly, the heroic, as being a big character of this season?
I didn't mind actually the push for Holly and her character emergence because I liked where it went with the Vecna. Like, with I like that Vecna. I like Vecna's end game of like using the
Mm,
children to power him to like what happens in Volume 2.
mm,
So we learn more about Vecna through Holly, like the
Yeah.
whole Mr. What's It storyline. You know why I like that storyline? It's clearly like an homage to Alice in Wonderland, right up to where like Holly has that blue dress when she's in his mind or in that place where she finds Max eventually in that house. I kind of thought that was kind of interesting, uh, like getting all the children there and then like don't go in the woods. It felt very fairy tale like and
Mm.
fantasy like, and I didn't mind that aspect. Although it is to the detriment of not showing the rest of the cast. We see Holly more on screen, like you just said. I do agree with that. It did hurt the other characters, but no, I thought Holly was an interesting. Like I didn't mind her at all. I thought the actress did a good job, and there was some cool things happening. Derek, not I don't know if I was a fan of the actor who played Derek. Like it was very. Sometimes he put me out of the show with his complaining,
Hmm.
and then he's trying to be Derek the delightful, and he's like,
That was
that's just
insane.
phony.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little much. And like when they're escaping to the bathroom, like in the hole in the floor,
Yeah.
that was a little
Exactly.
like ridiculous, but kind of like
Exactly.
funny, outrageous. I don't know, Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but I didn't mind Holly.
Yeah.
11 and Hopper, I really liked. I like when they're like just the two of them in the upside down. I like
Mm.
the little tribute to the Goonies with Eleven's outfit. That's what Josh Brolin looks like in the Goonies with the sweatband and the gray
Mm.
tracksuit. That's definitely Josh Brolin in the
Cool.
Goonies. That was so cool. And same with Nancy's hair. It's like Ripley from Alien, the curly hair.
Mm.
Um, little stuff like that I appreciate. The military for sure very weak. Like
Yeah.
just generic, bland, bad guys. Dr. K, I agree, could have been so much better. Kind of comes out of nowhere, and you're like, all right, we get it. It's Linda Hamilton. It's a cool tribute, but like very bland.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's okay. Will, let's talk about Will
Yes. There
because
we go.
episode 4 of Volume 1 was epic in my opinion.
Yeah.
Very cool reveal. What he does to the Demigorgons, and we get a lot of Demigorgon action. First of all, in this volume, let's just go back to the when Mrs. Wheeler, Mike Karen and Ted Wheeler get attacked by the Demogorgon, and they try to like that. That was pretty vicious and
Yeah.
maybe slightly unrealistic. Honestly, maybe she should have been off because that thing's claws are like freaking razor sharp. And anyways, and that was a lot of Demogorgon action, and it was pretty like I didn't think they'd go there, but definitely maybe could have been offed. Karen Wheeler could have been offed. But that Demogorgon again in episode 4 when they're chasing everybody, and then Will becomes the sorcerer. That was really epic. That may have been the most epic scene in all 8 chapters of this season. Will like destroying everything. Maybe only topped off by the scene that I want you to tee up, Eric. The scene just before Will becomes a sorcerer. That might have been actually the most epic scene.
Yes.
We haven't really talked about your favorite character, Eric, yet, but why don't we talk about him right now?
Yeah. So they definitely reserved Vecna or Henry in his Vecna form for the end of Volume 1, which, like you said, it really crescendos with like everyone's in the upside down or in the base in the upside down around there in the military or no, they're not in the upside down, but they're at the military base, and then we got all like the military has everyone surrounded, and then there's the gate that leads to the upside down. And yeah, like I said, we haven't seen Vecna at all this season. And then it slowly pans over to ominous vibes. You hear some sounds gurgling from the upside down, and slowly yet surely coming to the foreground of the scene is my guy Vecna, just chilling there. The military, who after 4 seasons haven't learned that guns will do nothing to this man and his minions, just start unloading on him to no avail. This guy's looking like a hybrid of Groot and Ultron now. He's leveled up from season 4, and then just mangles all of the military in one 50-second scene that, like I said last time, I've watched like 10 times. The musical cues are so sinister and just epic, and you see Vecna's full force on display. Like, I don't know what my favorite moment in that scene is with him specifically, whether it's the flamethrower coming at him and he just stops the fire mid-air like Kylo Ren with a blaster in Force Awakens, fires it back at them, explodes the base, pulls the grenades and then yanks the pins and fires them back at the military, puts his fingers through the soldier's eyes. Like, I don't even know. Pick your poison here. The guy just went off, and it was possibly the most epic scene. One of the most epic scenes of the whole season, maybe the whole show, honestly. Elite. Amazing way to end the season, the volume, I mean, for Vecna. And then he has his monologue with Will, kind of explaining his plan, too, with abducting the children, which I agree. The Holly plot was how we got that insight on what Vecna's trying to do. I did enjoy the plot overall, for sure. That the Demogorgons then are starting to just grab all the kids. And it seems as though Vecna has won at the end of Volume 1. And then Will has his big moment. After being taunted, called weak by Vecna, he then taps into the hive mind and has his big moment, kills 3 Demogorgons through telepathic abilities similar to Vecna, and it's just about saving his friends too. He saves, I think, Robin, Lucas, and Mike, and it's just an absolutely epic moment that is, again, one of the top moments of the show for sure. So that was sick. I didn't see that coming for Will to end up getting those powers or being a sorcerer, as they said, I think 25 times the entire show. It was really cool to see Will the Wise in action, have his big moment. Definitely ended the volume with a bang for sure. And now, like, we have a new weapon in the fight against Vecna. Also, by this point, we've seen that Kali is also being held in the Upside Down, so that's someone else to join our side. But just to go back also to what you had said about the Demogorgon action in the season, we have the most in this volume for sure, where they actually tried to trap one in Derek's house. That was another cool moment that I enjoyed. The Turnbow Trap, I think it was what it's called. That was cool. And then obviously the fight with the Demogorgon and the Wheelers, who I agree, I think should have killed one of the parents. Like, to kill Ted off would have been the easiest thing to do. No one really cares about him, honestly. He's kind of shown to be I was going to say a poor dad. I think the only thing he's got going for him is that he's rich as hell, because he's like an absent father, and he's just like been a useless character this whole time. No one would have batted an eye. I don't even think he comes up once. No one asks, like, oh, how's dad doing? It's all mom and Holly everyone's worried about, right? So could have killed him, no problem. And but I like the scene with Karen Carabuono going to town with that broken wine bottle, slashing away, trying to protect her daughter. Like, that was a great scene. Powerful stuff as well. But yeah, for me, that's kind of a wrap on Volume 1. Very strong first half of the season. I was a big fan.
Yeah, I agree. Just quickly before, so we'd have to get into it in Volume 2, but what do you think of the whole Jonathan, Steve, their tiny rivalry scenes, you know, for Nancy? Did you find that distracting, or it needed to be, like, ironed out and then finally closed in Volume 2 and 3? Like, did you like the little spats they had, or did you find it distracting, Eric?
Not distracting. I didn't dislike it. If anything, I was kind of Team Jonathan, because I didn't love Steve trying to steal his girl, or that's what it looked like, right? So, yeah, I didn't really like him looking like trying to be a homewrecker. Like, I wasn't a big fan of that, and if anything, that may have been a bad look for Steve, other than maybe for the people who really want Steve and Nancy to end up together. They're like, yeah, get in there, Steve. I don't know, that wasn't really my view of it there. But also, if you're coming off of season 4, you remember that Jonathan and Nancy didn't really have the same chemistry that they had in seasons 1 to 3. So why are we really still pushing for Jonathan and Nancy? And even in the first half of the season, they didn't really have much going on either. So you could kind of see that there are problems there, that even with the ring that Murray has given Jonathan, is that going to solve all their problems? Well, we find out in the last half of the season. So it was well handled, where I feel like that's something that people can relate to, that maybe they may be in a rough spot as a couple, and then they think, oh, like, I got to do something big here. I got to propose as like a way to fix their failing relationship, and that's often not the best thing to do for any couple, really. So I feel like there's a lot of realism in how they portrayed that whole love triangle and what ended up happening. So that's my take on that.
That's very good.
Yeah.
You made me appreciate it a little more, actually. You well said, Eric. But yeah, Volume 2. I enjoyed Volume 2. We finally get like not an explanation, a reveal of what actually what the end game is for Vecna, what he's trying to do. We find out like what that giant meat wall, shield wall was in the Upside Down, what that was preventing. Dustin has a revelation of like, oh, this is what actually is going on, with basically the Upside Down being like a wormhole to this other world, and it's Vecna's trying to drag it closer and like trying to fuse the worlds. That was unexpected to me. It was very I had very cosmic vibes of like, it kind of got like a little spooky, to be honest, because space kind of, the vastness of space and all that cosmic stuff kind of spooks me out because it's so unknown to us, and like that whole idea of what Vecna's doing was kind of like very cosmic and creepy in my opinion. And I don't know, I thought like the stakes got really high, and definitely like a whole like doomsday scenario where they have to save the world. Did you like the stakes being that high, Eric? That whole end of the world thing, and we only have this much time to do it. Like that, to me, that was very Stranger Things, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, same page for me too, and that's kind of my takeaway from these 3 episodes that we got, was that we finally found out what the Upside Down is. Not what we were expecting. Like, we kind of always thought that the Upside Down was the other foil to our real world, and that those were the only 2 dimensions we were dealing with. But now we found out that actually it's just it's a gate that leads to different universes and dimensions and worlds, and it must be destroyed to prevent possibly other worlds from coming in and being a cosmic threat to our reality. So I actually enjoyed that. It was a twist. I didn't see it coming, and then seeing the visual of the gem, the abyss, the Upside Down, and then Earth was really cool. I thought like it was a really cool looking shot, and yeah, like I appreciated all of that, and yeah, it was a good little twist. I enjoyed it for sure. And yeah, Vecna's plan, the vessels, it was cool to see a bit more time spent in the abyss, or like what his lair looked like. I thought it was a really cool looking place. Like it was kind of, it looked like his own skeleton, like amplified into a greater scale, right? Like his master lair was pretty cool to see. And another thing that we haven't really touched on that fits into this volume especially is Holly's navigation of Henry's mind with Max, who that was a cool twist of getting her back at the end of episode 3, and she was dubbed the Fox in Henry's world, that he was trying to catch her. She would hide in the cave. We got a bit more insight on what actually happened there with that crazy memory that we were hoping we would get more clarity on, that we actually do in the finale, because that was an ominous thing of like, okay, why was Henry down there in the cave to begin with? Is that how he got his powers? Like, I kind of posited that that's what it was, but was still unsaid and unclear. How did that guy get that rock? Anyways, that's another story for another day. But so that was cool. A lot more insight on Henry and his mind and what he's kind of trying to accomplish. And then the another cool scene with Will was when Henry or Vecna caught up to Max and Holly in the house, and they're about to escape his mind. He kind of is like choking Max, seemingly looks like he's going to kill her, and then Will taps into the hive mind again, breaks Henry's leg, and they have a little mental battle as well. Like, I thought that was a cool scene. And I can't believe we've gone this far without giving Jamie Campbell Bower, in my opinion, the best actor in this whole season by far. Like, for me, he was the standout of the season, in that was acting on another level, I thought. All the characters you cited that we all know and love, I thought were good. But they didn't necessarily take that next step. Like, for example, Hopper. I feel like we've seen better seasons with David Harbour as like an emotional pillar of the show. 11, same thing. Nancy, like the first few seasons, it's really her being like this very intense, invested mother who wants to find her child. I think they've kind of reached their ceiling in a sense. But Jamie
Okay.
Campbell Bower had depth to his character that we get even more of in the finale, and just
Mm-hmm.
gotta commend how he's able to portray all those different characters. Henry, One, Mr. Whatsit, Vecna, really impressive. And in that scene specifically, which is why I'm bringing it up now, he basically transforms from Mr. Whatsit to Henry to Vecna, and you're seeing the different range where
Mm.
he's like disappointed as Mr. Whatsit. They're like, oh, why are you trying to escape? And then he's psychotic as Henry, and then he's the demon as Vecna. Really impressive scene,
Yeah.
and it was cool to see again him and Will be foils to one another in the season. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's my thoughts, I guess, on Volume 2 in a nutshell. And Jamie
I
Campbell
have to
Bower.
reiterate. Yeah, I have to reiterate, Eric. He did steal every scene he was in. Jamie Campbell Bower, Vecna, Henry. He was my favorite part when he was there. He was the best thing on screen. And we'll talk about his acting in the last episode in a second because that was phenomenal. You're right. He was the best actor there, especially in the cave. Just it's the acting without speaking, just his facial expressions, his
Yep.
eyes. He's got very expressive eyes. Yeah, like I liked. I wish there was no volume 3. I wish they would have just released the 4 episodes in a row because like after volume 2, like after the episode 5, 6, 7, I was like, all right, like they didn't need a break here. Like I'm ready to dive into the finale, and I thought this was just like stretching it out even more. Sometimes maybe I felt some of the episodes were a little over long. I just wanted to get to the finale. Maybe I was impatient, but I felt like, all right, let's go already. We don't. I thought 5, 6, and 7 could have just been maybe 2 episodes, Eric, of what happened in them. What do you
Agreed.
think of the scene everyone's talking about online? For sure, like everyone's in a rush at the end of episode 7. It's like, all right, we got to go in 5 minutes, but then Will finally comes clean with everyone, and I understand too. It's very much of a confidence booster that he wanted to give himself. Like if he comes out of the closet, he just wants to stop lying to everyone and be more confident, which he is in the finale. But people have been criticizing it because they're like, there's not a lot of time left. It's the end of the world, and then you're taking this could have been done, I guess, differently and not such a long scene. Anyways, I didn't have as much of a problem as most people online do with this scene. I just felt maybe it was not shouldn't have been the last moment of episode 7, and it could have been done differently and not when everyone's rushing to like save the world. Those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. But I think you also said another good point about like Will had to say who he truly is to feel confident and feel ready to take on Vecna, who kind of does his thing is preying on people's fears. And Will had been
Right.
afraid of saying who he is and that he isn't
Yeah.
gay, and that he was not like everyone else, and that was something that was kind of eating away at him. So I actually like that they did that in the penultimate episode. Now my problem with the scene itself was that did he need to say it in front of everyone? You know, like at first when it was just Joyce, and then Mike came in and he's like, actually, you should stay to hear this
Yeah.
too. I was like, okay, this makes sense. He's gonna tell his mom and his best friend, who he also has a
Right.
crush on. So this is gonna be a very intimate, powerful scene. I still think it was a powerful scene in that there's a lot of vulnerability, and it was nice to see everyone, which you obviously knew they're all gonna come together around Will. Like they were gonna be accepting. Like that was not a surprise at
Right.
all. But the fact that he's saying this in front of like Mr. Clark, Erica, Vicky, like we did not need Murray. We did not need all these characters there. Now, my rebuttal to that is that everyone needed to be on the same page, basically. Like it's in this massive fight against this evil entity, no secrets for anybody. That's kind of my take on it, that everyone needed to know. You can look at it both ways. Anyways, I feel like it could have been better, but I definitely don't think it deserves the hate that it is getting online. Like this is the lowest rated episode of Stranger Things out there on IMDb, 5.5. Pretty crazy.
Oh wow.
It
Yeah.
I think it speaks to a bigger problem of a lot of people still in 2025 at the time
Yeah.
are homophobic. Like it's pretty disgusting
Yeah.
to see, honestly. So, and again, it's another thing I have with being online. Like people just feed into this loser hive mind cesspool of hate, and
Hmm.
yeah, they get consumed by it and sucked into it, and yeah, so it's pretty sad to see, honestly. But I think it was an important scene to include, and yeah, like it's a big part of Will's character that they had introduced in season 4. Even in season 3, there's a scene where Mike says to Will, like, "It's not our fault you don't like girls," when he and Lucas are like just like hung up on 11 and Max, and Will
Hmm.
doesn't have a girlfriend, so he just throws that line out there. But it's not like they just decided to make Will gay out of nowhere, which I think some people are saying is the case. It's not the case. So, anyways, it's just a bigger problem in society, I think, really, that's being reflected in how this episode's received. But I do think we've both raised good points in that. Was this necessary the way that it was done? Who knows?
Hmm.
But and I also agree with your point about this volume. There's not a whole lot that happens in these 3 episodes. Realistically speaking, there were some big moments, and I think there's one more to go over before we hop over to the finale.
Okay.
But overall, like this was kind of dragged out. The big realization was that the upside down's a wormhole. And another point is that like Steve is our guy who's coming up with this plan to bring the two worlds together. Like he came up with a master plan, Operation Beanstalk, a bit unrealistic there, but anyways, the last scene. Did you have anything else to add on this point for the Will
No,
scene?
Eric, you said it all beautifully. What's the last
Well,
before it?
it's the in the 6th episode, a lot of our characters come to realizations. Like I love the Steve and Dustin scene where that was an intense scene where they finally confront each other, and
Yeah.
Dustin is pissed at Steve at how he's been acting towards him, and that he actually this has all been about Eddie, why he's been so pissed
Mhm.
off, and then Steve with the line of, "Well, if I'm such an idiot, then why am I the one who's still here?" I was like, "Damn, my guy, you went there." Like that was brutal. And then they have their
Yeah.
fight. Eventually, they come back together as brothers. Like I love that. But the bigger scene, in my opinion, was the Nancy and Jonathan unproposal scene. What were your thoughts on that scene?
I I don't know. I was a little like shocked and like that whole. I like Jonathan and Nancy in this in volume 2, like what their little side quest and Nancy shooting the shield thing and with the goo too. Like the whole setting was really cool, but I don't know. I was a little shocked that it happened. To be honest, Eric, it was a little jarring. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was jarring. I feel like it towed the line of very sad and also
Mm,
a nice scene at the same time, and
mm,
also quite strange. I don't know why they were really celebrating this thing of like,
yeah.
will you not marry me? It became weird, I feel like, when that happened. I kind of thought they were gonna get engaged because the like it looked like they were gonna die really with the like the goo, like
Hmm.
you said, it was coming in at a fast rate, and they're finally being honest with one another, and they're admitting things that they don't like about the other.
Yeah.
So I thought it was leading towards that. They're like, you know what, like we don't have to
Yeah.
pretend like everything's perfect. It's not, but I still love you, kind of thing. But at the same time, it was nice that they were able to realize, like, yeah, you know, what I thought I wanted is not what I actually want anymore, and what brought us together, our trauma, is not enough to keep us together, and we've changed and grown as people. That happened. So it was a nice scene overall, but my true thought is I think they should have died in that scene. I feel like it would have
Okay.
been more impactful if they
Yeah.
have this big revelation, this wonderful moment between the two of them, and then they're just consumed by the liquid and just die. So it was like pretty crazy that it solidifies like right as it's about to get them.
Yeah.
Kind of unrealistic, but that's my thought on it. There's a lot to take in, but overall, good scene, kind of weird. Could have killed them off. And as soon as they
I
didn't
have.
die there, I'm like, Nancy's 100% not dying in the finale. I knew, like, if there was a time to
Yeah.
kill her, like, it was there. Same with Jonathan.
Okay, now that I'm thinking again at the scene, I did actually really enjoy that moment when they were telling them, like, I actually didn't like this, I actually don't like this.
Yeah.
That was actually like, sometimes in my, just quickly, like in my head, I was like, oh, I wish sometimes I could tell Mackenzie a couple of those things, like being super honest with someone, like, it's nothing super groundbreaking, but it's more like, I actually don't like this, but,
Yeah.
I enjoy it because you enjoy it, like, maybe like something like country music, which I don't mind country music, but do I sometimes, maybe I have to be more honest about it with her, I don't know.
I think
Okay, you brought a really good point though, Eric. Should more characters have died? We don't get, I don't know if you want to go into volume 3, but like,
let's do it.
let's do volume 3. Okay, ultimately, just my opening thoughts on volume 3. Ultimately, I was satisfied, but like you posted on Instagram, maybe I wanted a tad more. And that could have been maybe characters dying to raise the emotional level and the stakes, or maybe even a harder struggle at the end of the day, like something more. I felt it was maybe not too easy for them, but it was more of an epic struggle. I wanted that whole Anakin Obi-Wan Revenge of the Sith epicness going on in volume 3. Ultimately, I was very satisfied with this episode though, and I enjoyed the really long epilogue. I enjoyed that, but ultimately wanted a tad more. What about you, Eric?
Yeah, same page, honestly. I think this was a great finale, though. I just want to say it now. This show had the potential to have a catastrophic ending, and then we're talking Game of Thrones all over again. I do not think that's what happened. I think this was overall a great episode that was epic. But yeah, there were a few things I would have liked more of. Obviously, one thing I can throw out there, not even deaths related. I would have liked to see Vecna fight for a little longer. I feel like they took care of him and the Mind Flayer a bit too easily with that. Like, this thing was enormous, and you got these kids who just kind of rain fire on it. They're stabbing it from underneath for Eddie with the spears on the air. Come on here. Like, it was a bit much, and I feel like Vecna deserved better. Now, so that's my main complaint. I think also, like, maybe you kill off a few of the kids. Maybe not. I don't know. It's, you know what? At the end of the day, I said I wanted deaths going into the episode. I'm actually not that bummed that no one really died, ultimately. But I think they could have gone down that route. With a longer Vecna fight, with casualties, I think would have elevated a little bit. That's honestly kind of my only complaint. I feel like they gave us everything we wanted to see in that they explained everything, and we got the most epic visuals of all with the Mind Flayer's final form was unbelievable. And it was actually showing, the Landmark in Canada was showing this in theaters, the finale. I kind of wanted to go, but it was all sold out other than the later showing, so it wasn't going to happen, like drive out to Canada and all that. But I can only imagine seeing this in theater, people must have been losing their minds when that final build-up scene of Henry crying in the cave, talking to Will,
oh my God,
saying like, "We are one," and then the Mind Flayer emerges from that cocoon into this enormous. It kind of reminded me of the monster that Obi-Wan faces in Attack of the Clones in the Geonosis Coliseum. With its like the pincers at the end, it was like exactly like that. That's what it made me think of, except on an even larger scale, cosmic scale. It was unreal to see. Even the shot of 11 jumping in midair, and you're seeing the two of them face off, and she's jumping in its mouth. Unreal scene. I was fired up. Yeah, no, great finale. Honestly, I truly don't know how you can watch this episode and be like, that was bad. Like, you gotta really hate your life, maybe. I don't know. I don't wish that on anybody. But you know what? You gotta really be a hater to look at this and be like, that sucked. Like, couldn't be me. But anyways, so yeah, overall great finale. Standout was, again, like I said, that cave scene was unreal, and you said it very well. Jamie Campbell Bower's acting without saying anything, so good. His face, like even when he's just Henry and he's like chasing the kids and making like these contorted faces, he looks terrifying. He's scarier
Yeah.
than Vecna, honestly. So
Yeah.
shout out him, and the scene with him and Will talking was probably my favorite scene, honestly. And I thought they were gonna make Vecna flip, like it's not your fault, go
Okay.
Goodwill Hunting, and that he's then a
Yeah.
good guy trying to fight the Mind
Yeah.
Flayer. They kind of made it look like it was gonna be that, and I'm really happy they didn't do that.
Same.
Yeah.
Eric, you hit the nail on the head. One of my favorite scenes was Vecna stopping short, or Henry stopping short of the cave, and then actually conquering his fear and entering the cave. And then we get the reveal of what happened when he was a young boy. Extremely sad. Eric, I had sympathy for Henry there. Like, I felt bad for the guy. Like, it's not his fault. That freaking meteorite like went inside of him and caused everything, and that guy tried to kill him, and he ended up killing him himself. And that was honestly, that was very upsetting and sad and tragic. I'm glad he didn't flip either, though. That would have been too much. No, at the end of the day, all I have are nitpicks, and I was very satisfied with this finale. A lot of epic moments, like 11 hurling the rock at the Mind Flayer, and then like seeing her in the distance.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about 11 though. Like, that's one of my only other nitpick. I wish we would have seen the definitive ultimate sacrifice of, like, she sacrificed herself to close this out for good. Definitely, they leave it. This is my interpretation. They kind of leave it open ended at the end with what Mike says, where we can choose what to believe, that she did that or she didn't do that. What do you think? Do you think it's up to interpretation, Eric, or do you think, like, definitely she actually made it out because how was she supposed to do mad? You know, like whatever Mike explained. Like, what are your thoughts on that whole 11 situation, Eric?
Yeah, I think it's honestly a great way to, and I'm gonna make now, if you haven't seen The Sopranos, skip like 10 seconds maybe, but spoiler. It's like at the end of Sopranos, where, in my opinion, it's kind of open ended with a cut to black. Does Tony die, or is he still just chilling at the diner with his family? Who knows? Like, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. You can choose what you want, and I've seen people say that it's kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons thing. Like, you can, while there are definitive endings to the campaign, like, you can kind of pick your ending of, like, all right, is it this, is it that, or like those books there that you can go down different paths. And even, I think that's exemplified with all the characters saying, I believe. Like, they want to believe she's alive, so in their minds she's alive, but we'll never know. And I believe, I do believe that she is alive, but also at the same time, it's like, Kali was pretty much dead, if anything, unless they just show, it was an unreliable narrator in what they showed us. But was she able to pull off her powers that far away to astral project an 11 there, and she got out? Like, who knows, right? So if you really, and now I'm saying, if you want to be realistic about this in a show about upside downs and abysses and interdimensional portals, if you want to be realistic about it, it's unlikely that she was able to pull that off, bleeding out God knows how far away from where they were. So she probably did die, honestly. But if you want to be like a kid, who I oftentimes say I still have that youthful energy, I believe, but, and I think that's a strength of the show, where you can choose your ending. It's cool. But the one thing I did not want, I honestly would have probably thrown this microphone at the screen right now if, when they're doing their Dungeons and Dragons last campaign, if 11 showed up there at the end, like, Mike, I would have been so mad if she showed up there. So I'm happy that no matter what, she did do the ultimate sacrifice. She completely detached from her family, the only people who've ever actually been there for her. She did make that sacrifice. Whether she died or not, she did it. So does it make a difference if she's dead or not, is my question.
Oh, Eric, that's you're making me all like rethink everything here, especially saying it's a Dungeons and Dragons decision ending, and what you just said right now about the detaching from the family. I didn't even think of that, honestly. I did just watch the episode like 14 hours ago too, so it's still super fresh, and I haven't no, very well said, Eric. Now I like you've actually got rid of my nitpick. Like, thank you for that. I like it even more now. That's good. And like, having her show up at the end would have not been the play. The epilogue, the 40-minute epilogue, I really liked. Like, I saw that there was a lot of running time left. I'm like, okay, good. They're gonna go into like the characters, and I loved the Hopper and Joy's diner scene or dinner scene at the nice restaurant. That was a little emotional, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't too sappy or corny. It was just what the show needed. Loved how the show ended too with the Dungeons and Dragon campaign, and then the young kids come in after and they're like, hey, we want to play too, and they're like, that was quite touching. Passing the torch. It was a passing the torch type moment. Dustin's speech, the grad speech he does, was kind of funny. Characters that in season 1 would never have been friends now are all buddies. Like that whole thing. That was it was good. Like they did a good way of giving closure, but not going overly like sappy or corny. Or too emotional in a emotional in a bad way. Even the Steve thing, like he stayed behind at Hawkins, and then Jonathan and Nancy, they're in university, and Will's going to join them, and Mike's going to do his own. Like, we've all had that moment in our lives, and it's the good times are over. The bad and good times are over. Now it's time to move on. They're becoming adults now. Anyways, I quite liked the ending, Eric, to be honest. It was like, you put a smile on my face, like the fade to black at the end and the credits. I was like, I watched the whole credits. I just had a big smile on my face because I was thinking back on the last 9 years of watching this show. This show is probably the biggest thing Netflix ever done, right? Like 100%. The production. I was left with a big smile on my face at the end of the day. And I don't know how anyone, like you said, could hate on this finale. People are going to read comments online, are already going to judge.
So if they had done like Game of Thrones, they would have basically made Lucas become a villain at the end of the show, and that would have been just like out of left field, kind of like they did in Game of Thrones. But no need to harp on that too much. So epilogue. I thought it was great, honestly. Like, it was fun to see these characters and where they're going in life, not necessarily where they've ended up, and just kind of how they view the world based on what happened, right? So there's a lot of scenes to pinpoint on. One of them being the rooftop squawk scene, right? Where the 4 older kids, like Jonathan, Nancy, Steve, and Robin, all talk about like how things have changed and how they miss each other. And they said like, oh, we're going to get together once a month and we're still going to all be friends. It's like, as adults watching, that's not going to happen, right? And everyone was kind of saying that online, how it's a touching scene where it's relatable. Like as you grow up, you ideally want to stay connected and see your friends every day, ideally, but that's just not the reality of the world. And as they start having kids too, it's going to be even less than that. And anyways, so that was a good scene. It was cool to see like where everyone is at and what they're trying to accomplish. Like Nancy dropping out, interesting. Didn't really see that coming. And I actually kind of like that she didn't end up with either Steve or Jonathan. That she's just doing her own thing. And so that's kind of my thoughts on that scene. It was their goodbye to us and to each other, pretty much. And then, for the kids, I think it was nice to see like Mike give them that send off as the storyteller. Max and Lucas staying together, Will moving out, figuring it out, and meeting people that he can connect with in ways that he wasn't able to in Hawkins, and then Dustin showing that he's on a quest for knowledge and still adventures with Steve. Like I liked seeing that they're still good friends, like best friends. Like I actually love that scene where Steve called Dustin his best friend. Like that was a great moment, I found.
It was.
So there's that. Yeah, I mean, and they had Hopper and Nancy, him saying, I don't know if you know this, but when he said to Nancy, like, oh yeah, there's a chief of police position opening in Montauk that could be interesting. Did you know that the Stranger Things was going to be called Montauk? Like, that was going to be the name of the show. So it was like an Easter egg there. And I honestly think that if the show was called Montauk, it wouldn't be as successful.
I had no idea, Eric.
It's not a great name. Like Stranger Things kind of hooks you, That's kind of my take on the name of the show. But Anyway, so that was a
Wow.
cool little Easter egg. If you know, you know. And yeah, no, I loved the Dustin valedictorian speech, and that didn't
Hmm.
click in, but I read online like that was an homage to Eddie. He basically did everything Eddie said he was gonna do. I'm gonna walk down the on the stage, flip off the principal,
Oh.
snatch the diploma out of his hands, and then run off. Like he did exactly that. So that was a great little homage to Eddie
Okay.
there, and great for Dustin. Like you said, I loved his speech about unlikely friendships, which is a big part of this show. Who would have thought Steve and Dustin become best friends watching this show? Dipshit Derek and Holly the heroic in the end, giving each other googly eyes.
Right.
Like who would have seen that coming? So yeah. So that's kind of my take on
Oh
the
god.
epilogue. And then yeah, actually something that's kind of cool where 11 ended up in Iceland. I've actually been to that exact spot, so it was cool to see like
Wow.
that. Be like, hey, I've been there. It was unreal. But yeah, so no, great ending. I was a big fan of it for sure.
That shot of 11 was really cool. I had no idea where she was, so thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
And the Montauk Easter egg, that's awesome. I like just we didn't talk about it, but Lucas and Max, I liked. They were very like they paired well together. And when she tells him like it wasn't the song, it was you that was keeping like the link between us, like that was pretty touching. I'm glad they ended up together. Um, yeah, no, I don't know. It's a very I'm speechless right now because I'm just thinking of the last scene and like I'm gonna definitely rewatch this finale one day and have that same like I'll have a lot of nostalgia rewatching this show, and I think it's gonna age well and it's gonna be something we rewatch down the road. Um, it was again I'll reiterate it. It was quite cool when like they were done their D&D game and the kids come down because it's
Yeah.
a cool passing of the torch moment. I love that, and Karen Wheeler calling them up for the lasagna. Like you can tell there's gonna be trauma there, but like she's
Oh.
moved on. They've all moved on. But like those scars, not a cool reminder, but a vicious reminder that like yeah, they went through a lot. Like Dustin said, there were bad times and good times at the same time. And ultimately, this show had very minimal like bad times watching it, and 95% of the time it was super enjoyable, and it was really a great show at the end of the day. Um, One that I look forward to rewatching, in the next decades to come as I age myself. So,
Yeah.
yeah, good stuff.
For me anyways, talking this season out with you in the last hour or so has made me appreciate it even more, honestly. Like, I feel like watching volume 1 I really enjoyed. Volume 2 is like, like maybe there more could have happened. It was kind of dragged out. And then the finale I liked a lot, but just talking about it all, I'm like appreciating every part of the season even more, and just goes to show how they nailed the ending. Like you said, we have a lot of nostalgia for the show. It's important to us in that we've been following for these last 9 years and watch these kids grow up, have grown up alongside them as well, and they nailed it. Honestly, I got no bad things to say really about this season and this show. And another scene, last scene, I guess to highlight in the finale, the epilogue was that Mike and Hopper conversation. I was a big fan of in that Hopper is handing out guidance to Mike to make sure that he doesn't go down the path that he went down when he lost his daughter. And even seeing Hopper kind of at peace with 11 leaving, he wasn't as devastated as Mike was, kind of because he had already lived that and he recognized that it was 11's choice and that Mike should do the same because otherwise he could go down a destructive path. Like that was a very moving scene for me, I found, and I really enjoyed it, especially with those two characters who were the closest to 11 and had a divisive relationship where Mike hated Hopper and vice versa in season 3 especially, right? And even season 2 when Mike found out that Hopper was hiding 11 this whole time. So that was a nice moment between the two of them. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, just a hell of an ending. Big fan. What a show. We're gonna miss it when it's all said and done.
yeah.
This will be a show that's missed, and yeah, you should definitely rewatch, Matt. It's super rewatchable.
Oh, I will, especially them showing us like scenes from the other seasons, and I was remembering at the same time that hit me hard, seeing them that young and like, oh yeah, that scene, oh yeah, that moment, oh that was pretty epic, honestly. because it's been like 8-9 years for me, like for season 1, and
Yeah.
that was really cool. And yeah, the park bench scene with Hopper and Mike, like in front of the memorial, yeah, that was pretty great. Definitely talking with you too, Eric, has like I've definitely enjoyed it more than you've said a lot of good stuff. You actually like got rid of one of my nitpicks, which is huge. Like you talked me up on the finale, which is great. I love when people like do that. Yeah, overall, one of the best shows in the last 10 years of my life, really.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because the show took so long to put out 5 seasons. Like, I don't care about that. Like, it was quality over quantity at the end of the day, and they took their time and they did it right. So I'm very, very satisfied, and I think you feel the same way, Eric. Yeah. And, yeah, just a great show. I don't know what else to say.
Do we want to do like a ranking of, or just like a soft top 5 characters throughout the whole show? If you can make your picks, do you have any off the top? I can share mine just right off the bat. Like, I hadn't really thought about it, but it would be relatively easy for me. So I'd go in no particular order. Vecna. I'm gonna go Hopper, 11, Steve, Dustin. Those would be my 5 favorite characters of the show. A lot of others to choose from, but I think those are like the quintessential 5 for me.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Honestly, Vecna, this season put Henry and Vecna on my top 5 because of his acting, and I was very interested in the character. But yeah, me too. Like, I like Dustin and Steve, Hopper. Maybe instead of 11, I'll throw in like, although 11's pretty badass. Just sometimes I think Millie Bobby Brown. I don't know. Sometimes I think she's spaced out, but then I think 11 is supposed to kind of be like that. So it's not bad acting. It's her acting as like naive 11, right? Who doesn't know everything.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna Mike. I like overall in the series. I like Mike a lot. I'll throw Mike in there. I also like Max a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, Max was
I think
good.
he's a cool character. So we'll put Max, Mike, Hopper, Vecna, and Steve.
Okay.
I like Dustin too, but you've already highlighted him. But Dustin's great too.
And Max gets better too, I find, with Rue. I feel like her first season, I was like, she was kind of annoying, but I really like Max a lot. She grew on me, and I think the actress did a great job, especially in season 4. That was her standout season with the trauma. That's maybe a nitpick of the show, is that not enough of these characters exhibit traits worthy of the trauma they should be like showing, right? Like, how are any of these kids gonna move on? Like, the epilogue shows only positivity. Like, these people are gonna be scarred for life with everything, literally and figuratively. So Max really showcased that trauma in season 4 with the death of Billy and just everything they've seen. Another thing, like, Nancy is out here gunning down members of the military and without even batting an eye. Like, she's catching bodies left and right. Yeah. And she's just chilling, like, I'm going to go to university. I want a taste of the real world. It's kind of nuts. But it's pretty funny. And Nancy's a badass too, honestly. She deserves her flowers. She was kind of reminding me of like a Sarah Connor also, but now Ripley Comp makes more sense with the hair and the look. She's definitely a badass character, for sure. Definitely doesn't get that from her dad. So it's some Ted Wheeler just catching strays left and right out here. But yeah, no, I don't think there's anything else really to say. Great show. We'll be rewatching again down the road for sure. And yeah, great season of television. Great way to cap it off. And another strong entry in 2025 for TV shows. So, yeah. And
looking back, Eric, at all like the great series that we've watched in our life, the Game of Thrones, Sopranos, Breaking Bad, I found Stranger Things actually, like, it didn't dip in quality as the seasons were getting on. I think like the stakes got raised every season, and it was more epic. There was more epicness every season in terms of like the production and the budget and like the spectacles we saw. Like, this show did not go downhill as the seasons went along, as is the case for a lot of shows. Like, think of Dexter and all those shows, and Game of Thrones. Like, this show could have avoided that. And series finales, extremely polarizing in the history of television shows. Like, we can name the best ones and we can name the shittiest ones. And this one did a good job. This one's on the positive end of the spectrum because there's a lot of them out there that are not very good. So they did a good job. It's one of the hardest things to do is close out a TV show. You know, the ending is everything in a movie, but even more so in a long series. You got to nail that ending, or everyone's going to just talk about the ending, like Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
which now is going to be looked at not as highly just because of that last season. So yeah, they did great.
Exactly. Like the stakes were super high. Like if that finale bombed, we'd be having a completely different conversation than we had right now. So, no, they nailed it. Kudos to the Duffer Brothers. Curious to see what they do next, as well as all the other kids, all the other actors in here. I'm really interested to see what they do going forward. We've really only seen Millie Bobby Brown be in a lot of stuff elsewhere, and kind of Sadie Sink dipping her toe into some different roles. Like she's gonna be in the next Spider-Man movie, which I'm really excited to see her in. And now the other kids, now I'm curious to see like Noah Schnapp, who he was great too. I feel like we haven't really given him his props. He was fantastic in this season, in season 2 especially. He was one of the stronger kids. But like Dustin, Lucas, Mike, I'm curious to see what they end up in other stuff going forward. I am and Joe Keery, Steve, like Natalia Dyer, Nancy. Like Maya Hawke's been in a lot of stuff. I feel like she has a leg up and is getting a lot of roles. Like she's gonna be in the next Hunger Games movie. So I'm excited to see what everyone pretty much ends up doing.
Yeah.
But no, really good stuff.
Well said.
I'm kind of good to move on to some recommendations. If you've got anything you wanted to share.
A movie on Amazon Prime, a horror movie, which surprised the shit out of me, like how enjoyable it was and fast paced. And anyways, the movie that I'm talking about is called Dangerous Animals. It's an Australian horror movie. And the movie, the make or break of this movie is our bad guy, played by Jay Courtney, who was Captain Boomerang in Suicide Squad. He's also in the show Spartacus. He's a very charismatic Australian actor. Plays our villain here. He kidnaps people, feeds them to sharks, films it. He's like a serial killer, basically. He's our serial killer in the movie. And he's actually hilarious. Like what he says, what he does, not what he does, but like how he goes about his killings and his career. He's got a lot of charisma. And our main character, who's a surfer, gets kidnapped by him, and it's her trials and tribulations trying to survive in this boat out to sea. And she's a complete badass. This is not a lot of character type of movie, and she's super badass. And ultimately, like, is his equal? Like, she's just as resourceful as he is. And there's a battle of wits going on. Really, really fun. By fun, I mean like entertaining horror movie in the sense that we get these badass characters, and ultimately we get exactly what we wanted out of this movie. And it's honestly it's like a hidden gem horror film in my opinion, because not a lot of people are going to watch it, but it's a really good entry. 2025 has been, I don't know if it's slower, but there has been a lot of good little horror gems, and this is one of them. And lastly, the director of this movie, Dangerous Animals, he's done a lot of good other horror films in the past, so I should have known this would have been fun too. But yeah, Dangerous Animals on Prime. It's a really fast-paced, in-and-out horror film, survival, kind of like vicious at times, but very satisfying at the end. So Dangerous Animals, I really recommend if you like horror films that are a little on the violent side, but very entertaining.
Okay, right on. I've seen that, like, a lot of people log it on Letterboxd. The poster looks cool, like an aqua-centric movie, I believe. Yeah. So that'd be, I'll give this a rip at some point for sure. Add some 2025 entries to the catalog. Speaking of which, I'll recommend just a few movies, honestly, kind of rapid fire. The latest Knives Out movie, Wake Up Dead Man. I quite enjoyed it, honestly. I think it's another strong entry into this world that Rian Johnson's created. I think great performances from Josh O'Connor, the main actor who helps Benoit Blanc alongside him in the investigation. Josh Brolin also as Monsignor Jefferson Wicks, hilarious character. Those are kind of my two main standouts, but there's also Glenn Close in this movie, Thomas Hayden Church, Mila Kunis, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington. So there's a big cast for sure, and It's another great whodunit. These movies will have you thinking the whole time, like, all right, who's the one who did the murder? How did they do the murder? It's kind of easier to guess who did the murder than how. The how is always really out there. Like you've got to be a goddamn genius who's seen every giallo in the books if you know how this murder was committed. So
True.
great movie, would recommend. I also watched this movie called Caught Stealing, starring, speaking of another great cast, Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz, Matt Smith, Regina King. There's a lot of actors in there. Vincent D'Onofrio, Liev
Oh
Schreiber.
wow.
So another good movie where it's this character who finds himself in a crazy situation by misfortune, where he's keeping his friend's cat while he's away on vacation, and then there's some people who break into his house looking for something that he's stolen from them. So he kind of just gets caught up in this crazy situation while he's just minding his own business, and then it kind of gets out of control from there. Pretty solid movie. Maybe wanted a bit more out of it, but I feel like it's a movie a lot of people would enjoy and not think it's bad. So I feel like it's kind of still worth a spin. Maybe you'd find it really funny. I thought it was like pretty funny. So that's another one that came out this year. Would recommend. And another movie just to throw in there I watched, which is an animated movie called Howl's Moving Castle. Japanese movie. I watched it in English though. Good voice dub cast. Christian Bale is in it. Gene Smart. And the guy who plays Billy Crystal, I think, who plays Mike Wazowski in Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
He's in that. Actually, Josh Hutcherson too, when he's really young. So this is like a really imaginative movie where there's like witches, sorcerers, flying castles, wars happening with these like flying creatures involved. Like it's really cool. Like imaginative movie, very magical is how I would describe it. I want to watch more of these movies this year, like the Studio Ghibli movies. The animation just looks awesome. So I'd recommend that. It's on Netflix. Check it out if you want something lighthearted with a lot of great touching moments as well. So those would be my 3 movies to throw out there for the people.
Oh, I've seen 2 of those, Eric. Wake Up Dead Man. I agree with you. I felt like there was a better movie there that could have been edited differently or maybe paced differently. Like I only gave it 4 stars, but I felt like we could have even gotten an even better movie.
Yeah, I agreed.
Which it doesn't touch 1 and 2, but the acting is top notch, and I love the story and the reveal. I just felt like there was something missing. I don't know. Caught Stealing, haven't seen. I know the director though, Darren Aronofsky. Like he makes it's either amazing or like just mediocre. Like he did Noah, he also did Black Swan. He does Requiem for a Dream, and then he does The Fountain. He does his filmography is like super like strange. Like he did that Mother movie with Jennifer Lawrence. That was very polarizing. Anyways, so I still want to check it out. And Howl's Moving Castle is Studio Ghibli's. It's during its prime of like when Spirited Away came out and Castle in the Sky. Like it's very. I think there's better Studio Ghibli movies that have come out, but this is still a super magical movie. And there's some Ghibli movies you watched, Eric, that you reviewed that I haven't even watched yet, and you gave very favorable reviews that I can't wait to check out. So there's so many out there. It's like the Japanese Disney, and there's so many classics out there that we don't even know about.
For sure.
So that's awesome. I'll just highlight one more. Just quickly, I rewatched The Thing when we had that freaking snow the other day. It was fun watching it while I could look out my window and it was snowing. Honestly, it added to the atmosphere, so that was fun. That's maybe my favorite horror movie. But I finished the TV show It Welcome to Derry. Have you seen any of this show, Eric, or did you just give up on it, or did you start it?
I finished it as well.
Okay. Okay, I'll give my thoughts. Honestly, I enjoyed the show more than most people, I think. I like tuning in every week and watching it, and I liked the last episode. It was... it gives a lot of backstory of what I wanted, like explanations on Pennywise from the movies, like where he comes from, his origin. I liked all that stuff. And ultimately, like, there was a lot of, like, effed up, scary moments, too, that, like, they were very creepy. That was not on my bingo card for this year, but in episode 7, I actually cried a little bit. There was a very sad scene involving a fire. And honestly, Eric, I don't know what happened time of day I was watching it maybe, but, like, it hit me like oh shit, they're going here, and then they did it, and I don't expect to see that. I don't expect to feel that emotional watching an It TV show, but I did, so I like that. But yeah, ultimately, I was very satisfied with It. Welcome to Derry. I'm curious to see what your thoughts are, Eric.
Yeah, I know what scene you're talking about. Very touching moments for sure. I loved the show. I thought it was great, honestly. It only got better too. Like I thought the finale was fantastic. So
Yeah.
it was definitely worth the tune in. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Strong recommend. It's scary. Like this show is much scarier than the movies, I thought.
Oh yeah.
Like doesn't even come close. Almost every single episode I was scared. It was like goosebumps or I was on the edge of my
Oh, yeah.
seat. You know something's coming. It still got me. But yeah, great show. I thought the kids were really good. And the adult storyline was great too. That was a big Dick Halloran. That was my guy. Great character. I thought the actor was amazing. His voice and his line delivery, so good. Yeah, no, really good show. Bill Skarsgård, absolutely killer with the, is that my periwinkle? Like I thought it was so good. Like the periwinkle stuff was great. Yeah, no, really good show. Nothing but good things to say about it for sure.
Good. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
No, I thought it wasn't talked about enough this year. It was really entertaining. The brutal scene was the scene in the shop class with the girl and her eyes. Like,
Oh
when she
my
does her
God,
eye. Oh
yeah.
my! I was actually like watching through my fingers. I was like, oh my
Disgusting.
God, they're going there.
Yeah.
I think the older I'm getting, I don't know if I like gore as much as when I was like a little younger. I used to like seek it out. Now it's like kind of grosses me out a little bit more.
So Terrifier 4 maybe not getting the view this time.
The thing with the Terrifier movies is they're so unrealistic that like even though the gore's over the top, it kind of is. It looks a little fake and too practical, where it doesn't look like it looks over the top. But yeah, no, I don't have much else. There's a TV show I'm watching now that I'm liking, but I think I'll talk about it on the next. Although we're doing music and then TV, right?
Yeah.
I'll talk about it right now, Eric.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the HBO show The Pit?
Yeah, I have actually. We want to start it up because season 2 is coming out soon. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm just gonna say I'm loving it right now. I'm not done the show though. I'm like halfway. I love it because of the format. Just gonna say, Eric, really, really solid stuff. And what I like about the show is one episode is 1 hour of these guys' work shift, basically. So like it starts off at the first hour at work, and every episode, I guess, is going to be an hour of their work day. So the whole show is going to be one day. I can already see that happening, and which is a really cool format, kind of like 24 did back in the day. Every episode's 1 hour. Hey, Eric, I'm loving the show so far, and I'm curious to see what Andy would say about the show, to be honest.
Yeah, we're going to watch it together, so I'm excited to check that out. We're probably going to start that up hopefully soon, like very soon, so I'll let you know.
Okay, good. Let me know, because like I said, I'm like episode 8 right now. I'm loving it.
Okay, nice. No, it was a super well-rated show. I think it won quite a few awards, so...
You did.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to check that out. I'm normally not a huge medical content show guy, but... This one has gotten a lot of acclaim. Andy wants to watch it, so I definitely do want to get on that with her as well. So we'll let you know.
Perfect. Yeah, that's all I have to recommend.
Yeah, me too, honestly. Gave those 3 movies, talked about it a bit, and been really fun going over the It end of an era now, Matt. Well, looking forward to seeing what our next big cultural phenomenon TV show is going to be. Down the road. But yeah, no, a lot of fun, Matt. Any final notes for the listeners?
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. And I hope everyone had a great year in 2025, and I wish everyone a happy new year in 2026. And I hope you're enjoying your little time off work right now if that's the case. And thank you for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it, guys.
Well said, Matt. Thanks a lot, everybody, for listening. Stay tuned for episodes dropping every 2 Mondays. Happy New Year again. Wishing you all the best in 2026. Thank you again for supporting the pod. We got a lot coming for you this year. Enjoy your time off, like Matt said. And yeah, peace.